There's only one you, and there is a lane and an offering that you bring to the world that literally no one else brings. And so go and do it. If you want to build something, build it. You're not here listening to Alli Worthington because you don't want to build something. So go and build it. Go and build it. The resources are there to help you. The people are there to help you. God will help you. Go and build it. We need it.
Welcome back. Today on Smart Girls Summer, we have a powerhouse conversation with Annie F. Downs. You're going to get 2 Enneagram Sevens talking about business, podcasting, and what it actually is like behind the scenes. We go deep on what no one else is talking about, on building a career that works for you, on growing a company and protecting your peace in a noisy world. You'll hear the bad advice we both ignored, the hard lessons we've learned, and the bad practices out there that make us go a little bit crazy. So if you love business and you need a fresh shot of motivation and wisdom, this one's for you. Okay, let's dive into the conversation with my friend, Annie. Annie F. Downs, you have been on Smart Girl Summer before. It was so good. I actually re-aired your Smart Girl Summer last year.
Oh,
I think 2 Enneagram Sevens talking business is really fun because Enneagram Sevens get a bad rap that we're not serious about business. We're not strategic, but let's go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the state of the Annie F. Downs world in 2025. Sure. Tell me about your business as of right now, the parts of it, how it works. Let's have an overview.
Yeah, so I have 2 companies that I own and run. One is AFD Inc. AFD Inc. is all the books that I write, all the podcasts I host and record, and my traveling speaking schedule, and then anything new we create, anything else we're making that requires my face and requires me is AFD Inc. I'm the sole owner of that company, and we have 4 full-time, 3 part-time at AFD Inc. I am the co-owner of the That Sounds Fun Network, which is a podcast network that supports around 50 podcasts with advertising, community, and education. There are 5 of us full-time over there and 2 part-time. And so my week looks like, a thing we've done recently is given me 1 hat days. So I'm only doing one thing each day, just about as best we can. And so I spend 3 of my days a week on AFD Inc. I spend 1 day a week on That Sounds Fun Network. And then the 5th day is kind of up for grabs. I'm either traveling or it's my day of rest for the week, or I'm writing, or I'm giving more time to one of the companies.
I think that's so smart. So for me, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays coaching all day. I never make excuses, except this is Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. and it's the only time you're available. And I was like, well, for Annie, I'll break my rule. And then Thursday, Friday are podcasting, my companies, other things I need to catch up. Saturday, even though I swore I would never write another book if I had to do it on Saturdays is back to writing. It's just what happens.
Yeah.
Speaking of writing, are you working on another book?
No.
Okay.
I have a book finished. We don't know what's going to happen with it. So.
Okay. Fiction, nonfiction? Because I feel like you were dabbling in fiction. Okay.
I am. Yeah. I'm also, so that's part of the fun of what's going on right now is I'm got my hands in writing a script. I've got my hands in writing a novel. I've got my hands in working on some other projects with some other production companies. So we're kind of doing some of that stuff that I've never done before. But there is a nonfiction book that we hope the world sees at some point, but it's just the path is not clear today.
Okay. Can you give me more clarity on the path is not clear statement? Is this...
I just don't know when it gets published or who publishes it.
Okay.
No.
But
I don't today.
But it's done because normally we do a book proposal, 3 sample chapters, send it to a publisher, but you wrote the whole thing.
Yes.
Interesting. Why did you go that route?
Part of it was that I signed a book deal a while ago and we thought this would be a part of that book deal. And part of it was, it isn't. And so, but I had already gone. I was already rolling. And part of it was that the book was in me and I wanted to get it out. And so once it was out and it wasn't going to fit in the system that we had previously been in and with the plans we had, it was like, okay, God, the book is out. You will put it over here when you have the right partner and when you have the right timing. And if the book is right, if not, maybe I just wrote it for me. So we have a finished manuscript.
I love that. Okay.
That's never happened before in all my writing.
I love it for so many different reasons. And one kind of insider baseball thing that you know and I know and maybe not everyone knows is there's a lot of pressure for people who write and speak to produce a book every 2 years because there's
Yes.
a fear if I don't write and release a book every 2 years, I will be forgotten. I won't get speaking engagements, all of those things.
Yeah, maybe that exists that doesn't exist for me, Allie. I don't have that fear because writing is one of 8 things I do. And
Same
so
thing.
my
Yeah.
bigger concern is not, am I going to be forgotten? My bigger concern is, are we making so much that nothing actually makes a difference and nothing actually, that it is just, there are so many resources available that none of them do as well as they could if there were less.
Yeah. I completely
So
get that. Yeah, and I think it's more of a pressure on people whose business model is just writing and speaking.
that's right,
Yeah.
which is why your business model should not be just writing and speaking if you want it to be your full-time career.
Yes, absolutely. I know of people who are very successful authors and speakers who told me that they went on unemployment at the beginning of COVID because
Yes,
they did not have a way to make money because it is such a grind to be on the
exactly
road
right.
all the time. And if all of a sudden it dries up, what are you going to do?
That's exactly right. What our friends listening may not know, that's why authors and speakers who are invested in companies or authors and speakers who have a coaching job, who have started coaching. I mean, you're a great example of that. Jess Connolly's a great example of that. There are a lot of people who have gone, okay, I can make the resources, but I want to make the daily impact in people's lives. So what does that look like?
So, speaking of having a lot of things that we do, let's talk about podcasting for you.
Okay.
You got into podcasting early. You were amazing at podcast. I kind of think of it as, in terms of Christian women's podcast, like you're pretty much top dog, which I'm sure you would
Thanks.
laugh at and go, oh, don't be silly.
Well, I mean, depends on how you define it. Am I the oldest? Is the show the oldest? Maybe. Maybe. Have we persevered the longest? Maybe I'd agree with that. Are we the most popular? I don't know about that, but we've been around for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I remember the first time I was on your show, I remember thinking, I have never heard back from so many people when I was on a podcast.
And that
And that
kind.
was my indication, like, oh, this community is really strong. They love
Yes.
Annie. They trust Annie's opinion. So for you, podcasting is so key. It's so key and so lucrative that you decided to build a whole network around it. One of your
Yes.
shows is our mutual friend Carlos Whitaker's show.
Yes.
And I heard you on his show. I don't remember how long it was. I remember I was in an airport listening to it. And you were talking about the podcasting business model. I would love to hear from you as of 2025.
Mhm.
What is your take on where podcasting is now, where you think it's going in the future, and how you manage uncertainty?
I think it's in the best place it's been in a long time. I actually think compared to 23 and 24, podcasting is having a much better day than it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. A couple of things have happened. The technology changes and the systematic changes that happened at the Apple and Spotify level have balanced out. They've made the decisions they're going to make. They've stopped making changes for now until they release something tomorrow. But for now, the creators and the advertisers have figured out how to live in the world that Apple and Spotify have built now. And so that's really great. There's been some calming of the seas as far as that. The influx of people making new shows has slowed down because
Yeah,
people watched over the last few years. I mean, aren't you seeing that in our friends? I don't see my friends making and releasing new shows that often right now.
that's true. I hadn't thought about it. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
We're just not, it's kind of like if you wanted to make a show, you did. I think that's really great for our friends listening who want to make a podcast because it means the time is right for you to put something new because you're not competing with 1,000 other new shows like you were 6 months or 12 months ago.
True.
So the making of new shows has slowed. The people who built shows in 2020, 2023, because they were wanting to get in the game, have lost steam and quit. And so we're on the back side of the bell curve of people feeling like I need to have a podcast. And so that's all really exciting. That is all really exciting for people who want to be in podcasting or are in podcasting, because it's a stable medium today.
Mhm.
That can change tomorrow, but it is a stable medium today. And so what we're seeing across the network is that advertisers are feeling more stable, shows are feeling more stable. There's technology. I don't know how in the weeds you want me to go about the different types of ads. Okay, so there are 3 different types of ads for podcasting right now. There used to only be one. Now that there are 3 different types, it allows different levels of ad partners to partner with shows, because they may not have been able to afford when it was one option, but now they can afford one of 3. And so all of that is making podcasting a really fun medium to be in right now if you are looking to commit to it and to stay in it and to create something that people want to hear. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now. What we're seeing at the network is we have excited podcasters who are making money.
Oh, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't do ads. I consider all of my stuff my own ad. So for me, that's not my model, but the podcast just pays off because it's able for me to build connections with people in a way that, I'm not showing up on social media for an hour a day. So if someone wants to get to know me, they get to know me through my podcast. So for you, you've been podcasting for, a minute. I started my podcast in May, makes 7 years. And I started out one show a week, and I would start out interview at the beginning and then me solo show at the end. Now I broke it into 2 shows a week. How have you figured out how to go to more than one show a week? How do you feel out what's working on your show, what's not working on your show? How do you decide to make big changes?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the reality is it's just like your kitchen. You can test recipes, and if they don't work, you don't cook it again. And so it's a little bit of removing the pressure of like, you're not going to make or break the thing by trying something different. And so we did 1 show a week for a bunch of years. Then we did 2 shows a week. And then we did 3 shows a week. And then we did 2 shows a week. And now we're back to 1 show a week, but we do bonuses about twice a month. So we're doing about 6 shows a week instead of 8, like we were doing last year. I'm sorry,
6 shows a month.
A month instead of 8. So we just keep trying. I mean, part of the reason we went to 3 is how many guests we were having to say no to that I didn't want to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather get to do all these conversations and have all my friends on that I want to have on than have to keep saying no to people I love. Now, last year we went down to 2 a week because I was writing a book. And so I needed space because I wanted to write. And so we couldn't do 3 a week. We also saw that the numbers weren't panning out. And so people weren't able to stick with us for 3 shows a week, even though I really wanted that many guests on. Here's the truth, Alli. I would do 5 shows a week if I could. If it was the right business model for my schedule and our finances and my team, I would do 5 shows a week. I think it is so fun. But it does not make sense across all the other parts of the business. And so now we're doing 1. And this year we have a real distinct theme. We're doing winter, spring, summer, fall. So we do 1. I mean, we have the whole year booked. I mean, I think I've got 4 openings left this year because we are hand picking each person I want to talk about the season we're in. And so we've never done a show like that before. So I'm offending my friends left and right. Because I'm like, I know you have a book release in September. I love you. You've been on the show 8 times. We don't have a spot for you in 25 because we're doing something different. We will do something different than this in 26. And so it is about testing and seeing what you love, what provides financially, if podcasting is a financial part of your business model, and what is the audience responding to. And so that's kind of our mix. We don't tend to change mid-year, but we do tend to change every year. And so we will have a conversation in August and we will say, what does 2026 look like on the podcast? Does anybody feel like God's leading us a certain way? Does anybody feel like looking back on 25 and 24, what do we see that we loved? Is there a theme, or do we go back to interviewing around releases when people are available and we're able? Because my mission statement, Alli, is that Annie is a bridge. I mean, Annie is a trusted bridge to it's a longer mission statement than you want, but I'm a trusted bridge. And so I like being able to have my audience meet other people. If they stop at me, I have actually not met my mission statement. And so if they don't go and buy your book, if they don't go and listen to Russell Dickerson's album, if they don't go and watch Little Women's Christmas because I shared about it on Great American Family, from Great American Family, I actually haven't met my mission. So to me, that's why I would love to do 5 shows a week, but my audience wasn't able to engage with the content I was sending them to at 3 times a week. And so I wasn't meeting my mission, even though I was sharing more stories. And so that's how we've backed down.
That makes perfect sense. Now, for you, do you see common issues in the podcasting industry that need to be discussed?
Yeah, I think people don't realize how expensive it is to have a show. Because you gotta, unless you can edit, it's gonna be expensive in one of 2 ways. It's either gonna be expensive in your time or expensive in your money.
Yep.
And it's been both for me. There was my whole first year. I started in 2014, so this is our 11th year.
Mm-hmm.
My whole first year, I did the editing. So I would do
did too.
Oh, it's awful. I did a 45-minute conversation, then 8 hours of editing.
It was so awful, but I knew I
Awful.
would be better if I didn't edit it myself, and I learned all my verbal tics. I still haven't been able to keep myself from interrupting, but
Nor
I'm
I.
I'm getting better after 7 years.
If there's one thing I get bad reviews for, it's that. But I'm always like, but that's a 7 thing. You and I interrupt because we are saying subconsciously, I care so much about what you're saying, I'm going to join you.
Yes, it's not because we're rude. There's so much to say.
It's a 7 problem.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of it is people think I want to do a podcast. I can't wait to record. And they don't realize that you've got to learn to edit or pay for editing. You've got to learn how to launch the show and put it up on socials and share about it and put it on and make sure it gets on Apple and Spotify and all the other places. It's just, I think it's a bigger lift than people who don't do it realize. So I think that's part of a problem that we have to talk about. And I think the other problem that is solving itself is about 3 years ago, everyone thought they needed to do an interview show. You model for us that you don't, that talking by yourself works, that telling stories works. Everybody thought, I want to have a podcast and I want to interview famous people. And what's actually true is you do not bring on guests to get their audience. You bring on guests to bless your audience.
Yep.
I mean, I had Matthew McConaughey on my show and it did not bump my listening audience. I had a spike of a day, but I didn't have a change in my audience.
Because Matthew McConaughey isn't going on Instagram or TikTok to be like, let me tell you about the episode with Annie F. Downs.
He did not even tell his wife who was in the room with him that he was on my podcast. And so when people when people are bringing you on their show, they are thinking, what they might be thinking if they're thinking wrong is, I can't wait to have Alli on my show. She's very popular. She's famous in this world. She will bring a ton of listeners. And instead, what the brain needs to think is, I can't wait to bring Alli Worthington on my show. She is an expert who has done her 10,000 hours, and my audience needs to hear that. And so it is really hard for me, Alli. I'm sure this happens to you too. It's really hard for me when someone asks me to be a guest on their show. I do it. And then they are really offended when I don't collab on every reel and share everything. I'm like, I didn't agree to do that part.
No.
I agreed to be your guest. I didn't agree to send my audience to you. That's not what this relationship was. There are times where I do because I want to be a part of the community. But there are times like when a book comes out where you do 50 podcasts. And you are talking and they're asking you the same questions. So I'm not sending my audience to hear me say the same thing because 50 different podcasters are curious about the same thing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So it's really, it's a good reminder to podcast. I mean, we say it all the time at our network. We have roundtables once a quarter where all of our hosts and producers get together and talk about what's happening in podcasting and what are we learning. This month, the people in charge at Spotify of Megaphone are coming in to teach us about, which we're all on Megaphone. So we're really excited. But one of the things we say all the time is do not have expectations of your guests once the recording is done. That is not why you bring a guest on. Now, when I have guests on, do I invite them to collab on Reels? Of course I do. Do I invite them to share? Yes. If they want to, if they had an experience that they want to tell their audience, I'm not going to not invite them. I'm just 0% offended when they don't accept it. That's not what I asked them to do. I did not ask them to come on my show to bring their audience to my podcast. I asked them to come on my show to bring their expertise to my podcast.
That's really good. Now, what about the flip side? Give us 2 or 3 things that podcasters need to know that this will affect growth. If you want to scale, what are the things that you are seeing that work?
Consistency is number one. Do not do seasons. Do not drop off, right? People all the time think, I'm going to do 10 episodes. I'm going to do 10 weeks. I'm going to take a month off.
No.
Your audience will not grow.
Thank you for saying that.
It just doesn't. This is not a medium that works in seasons. This is not a TV show that people are waiting for it to come back. That's not what you're
We're not
making.
hacks.
That's
sadly.
right. Now, that being said, we take a week off in July. We take Holy Week off, and we take the week off after Christmas. So we don't do 52 weeks in a row. I don't do that. We have strategic breaks, but I do not work in season. I mean, this year we're doing winter, spring, summer, fall, but I do not work in seasons. It actually does not help your show grow. It stunts the growth of your show. So I'd say that's a thing that is release once a week and release once a week always, except when you're taking strategic breaks. So I'd say that. Another thing that leads to growth is using your social media. Everybody knows that. Do not release clips on social media that are cliffhangers. Release clips that are helpful. If you release clips that are cliffhangers, people feel like they're being marketed to. If you release a clip that actually helps them, they want to hear more of the podcast. The expert at this is Stephen Bartlett at Diary of a CEO.
He immediately came to mind. Nobody does trailers. Nobody does clips better than Bartlett.
That's exactly right. He is so phenomenal at that. He's phenomenal at every part of podcasting. He is really phenomenal at that part. He does not gatekeep the best information on the podcast. He shares the best clips on socials, and it makes me desperate to watch the rest of it or listen to the rest of it. So everyone thinks if I do a cliffhanger, then they're going to come to the show, and they're not. Be helpful on social media. Don't play games on social media. Those are the top 2 that come to mind. Make sure that you're very clear in the titling of your podcast about what the podcast is about. That helps people a lot because they know what they're getting into. Not a lot of people are going to read all the description when they're deciding. They may read all the description at some point, but when they're deciding to listen, they're reading the title. So be helpful in the title.
Is there anything that you've done with podcasting that you realized was a bit of a dud? Like not just a test that didn't work, a big dud. Okay.
Well, I mean, they're all the tests are big duds. To me, they're one and the same because I don't do anything. You and I don't do anything small. We thought in the growth department, we had this idea 2 years ago that at the end of every episode, we would have a listener on with me to tell me what sounds fun to them. And we thought this will be a great growth mechanism. This will make the listener feel really seen. It's really fun to me. It'll do the Seth Godin tribes thing where people feel really connected. And it didn't bump anything. It was fun. I loved it. And people loved being on. It took a lot of time and a lot of random scheduling that really slowed us down from making other things.
That makes sense. But yeah, it sounds, at face value, it would have been perfect.
Totally. That's what we thought too. And so we did it for a year. John Tyson says this, spirit-led, data-informed. And sometimes that means you're spirit-led instead of data-informed. But very often what we try to do at AFD Inc. and at the That Sounds Fun Network is we want to be both. We want to trust that God is leading us and that he has given us the mind of Christ and giving us his wisdom. We ask for it. So that's not in every company. That's important in our companies. But we also try to be data informed. So we look at stats every staff meeting. Every Monday, we look at stats. How are our emails being opened? How is the podcast being listened to? How is it on socials? What worked this week and what didn't? And then we also have these big overarching looks at how's the podcast doing in the last year? How'd the podcast do in the last 2 years? And when we sat with that particular thing we tried, we were like, this didn't help to the degree that is worth keeping going. And so we stopped it. And when we stopped it, we thought, let's pay attention to the feedback. None. No one missed it. And so then we're like, okay, no one missed it. We liked doing it. We didn't like doing it enough that it made sense for the no's we were having to say yes to it.
That makes sense. Is there a belief about work, your work, that you found no longer serves you that you had to let go of?
Yes. When you and I started this, well, you started long before I did. You've been my coach and my teacher for decades at this point.
Very sweet.
You have been, girl. Don't even lie. You know
Can
I
we
was
just say, I will never forget in the closed bar of the Hotel Preston next to the airport, it was
2008.
September 2008, you just bumping up to me. I'm Annie Downs. I just moved to town. Here's how you can find me. And
I
I
think I'd
thought,
been there
I don't
about
know who
4
she is,
weeks.
but she is delightful.
I thought the same thing about you. I thought I'm going to follow her everywhere. And I have. So, a thing that I believed then that has really served me to let go of is the women who went before us in being public about their faith, which is a big part of both of my companies.
Mm-hmm.
There was one lane for that, and that was teaching the Bible on a stage in front of women.
Yep.
And that is how I started. As I've continued to do this, I have let go of the belief. It feels like, if you can imagine this, it feels like when you see cattle that are in a pen and they're getting lined up to be branded, they're in these tight pens and then they release them into the pasture. Feels like the women who went before us were the ones who figured out how to get to the gate. And they led us to the gate. I thought that because they led us to the gate, I have to keep following them directly. But what God actually did was open the gate and the field was big.
Yeah.
And so in the last 7 to 10 years, no, I've been doing this full time. I've been doing this full time since 12, been in it since 8. So I'm almost at 20 years. Probably for the last 6 to 7 years since before COVID, I've been like, oh, I can actually build in my gifts because they opened the doors for us. The Beth Moores, the Kay Arthurs, the Priscilla Shires, they opened the doors for us. I don't have to look like them in what I make. And once I got free for that, girl, that's when I was like, where's a cross-stitch pattern of one of my book covers? When are we doing live tour events? When are we taking everybody to Dollywood? Like, I got all this freedom to figure out, what does Annie actually offer the world? Because the women before us opened the gate for us to enter the field.
I cannot amen that enough. I mean, that kind of happened to me at a pretty similar time. And it happened because of my team. Someone on my team said, well, we want to do retreats. And I went, okay, we can do retreats. And then someone said, well, you love amusement parks. So why don't we do retreats in Orlando? And I said, well, I don't know if everyone would want to go. And all of a sudden, we're going twice a year.
That's
and
right.
Then my client said, hey, we see you taking your team to Orlando. Would you do client retreats? And I was like, I don't know if a bunch of clients want to go to Disney with me. And sure enough, they did. And I realized, my mom jokes, she said, you're always in Orlando. I can't believe you have a business that is just you going to amusement parks. And I went, I can't either, but I love it. Because it doesn't have to look like what I can still be a serious business coach.
That's right.
And I can ride the Tower of Terror with you.
That's exactly right.
And I loved it. And for me too, letting go of this idea that I need to write a book every 2 years, I need to be on the road every weekend, that this is my path.
Yes.
That was huge for me. About 2 years ago, I let my speaking agent know that maybe 1 or 2 events a year, but I needed to come off the road. God was having me do something in technology. I'm building an app right now. By the time this comes out, I'll probably be out. But I didn't have the time to be on the road every week. And so many people said, what are you doing? At the height of everything, you're just pulling everything back.
Yes.
But when you do something because you feel like you have to, and it's your only thing that you can do, but there's different things in you, it's a terrible feeling.
That's right.
And
That's
time to be alive as a woman, to go, I can just do anything I want to do.
And also the beautiful nature of it is when you and I moved out of that lane, it actually made space for the women who are super called to travel every weekend and to preach in front of conferences and events. And so when I take seasons, so right now I'm in a travel season. I am gone almost every weekend speaking at conferences and events and churches. That's great. That's 3 months of my year. What you do is say 2 times a year, tell me when. I say you can have March to May. And whatever you can get me on the road from March to May, I will do. And so then the rest of the year looks totally different. So what that does is it means that I am not the best woman for the events in October. I'm not. The event may think that's true. It's not what God has for them, because that's not when I travel. to events and conferences at this year particularly. And so I'm with you. It makes space when we get in our correct lane and run fast, it makes space for the women to get in their correct lanes and run fast. And I love running businesses. You know, you and I talk about this. I love running companies. I love that no 2 days look the same.
Yep.
I love that we are solving problems all the dang time. We don't have a day that I don't go home and think, I didn't know how to do that today. I absolutely did not know how to solve that today, but we're on the path. I love it. I love building companies. I do not love maintaining companies, but I love building them.
Well, you build them and then you hire someone to maintain them.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And then you stay the visionary and you turn it and shape it and move the ship. And then new things happen all the time because you're the one who's still building new things. I mean, like I said, some of the stuff I'm writing, what's going to happen with this book. So, it is all new. So I'm still getting to build new things. But I have a team behind me. My COO, Ashley Warren, Ashley, she is unbelievable. I mean, she runs this company incredibly, maintains it, make sure the staff is happy, make sure they're cared for, make sure they're celebrated so that I can be doing the pieces that only I can do.
Yeah, that's the key. For me, it's my chief of staff.
Yes.
So for me, I can podcast, I can coach, I can create. That includes, writing, teaching, the app, things like that. But if I'm in anything else, it's not a good use of my time.
No. And it does not bring me any joy. And Ashley feels the most fulfilled when everyone in our company is cared for.
My chief of staff is an Ashley too, and she's an Enneagram 1. She's a 1. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm coaching, I always say for those positions, you need a 1 or a 2.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So my chief Annie officer, my executive assistant, everybody here is in the C-suite. She's a 1 and Ashley's a 2. So Lillian's a 1 and Ashley's a 2. And it is perfect. It's perfect because Lillian does not miss a detail and Ashley does not miss a feeling. And I don't care about either. And so it is absolutely perfect. It could not be any better. I'm so thankful to God that he brought 2 people to run the company that he gave me the vision for, but gave them the execution legs for.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So say something happened.
Okay.
You woke up tomorrow and you start from zero. No connections, no nothing. What does it look like? What would you do? Where would you focus your time and energy?
I would get into a mastermind or a coaching thing. I think about you. I think about Jess Connolly. I think about Amy Porterfield. I think about Jenna Kutcher. I would get somewhere where that is what we did. That's why I came to your event in 2008, as I was here for 5 weeks or something at that point, and a gathering of women who wanted to do or were already doing what I wanted to do were together. I was going to be in that room. So get in the room. You can sit at home and make your stuff and do all the marketing work yourself and all that. And that's all going to happen. But when there is a room of women or women and men who are doing what you want to be doing, get in that room because that'll move things forward at a pace that is so much faster than what you can do by yourself. And you will be so motivated when you leave the room. So that's the first thing I do is get in the room.
That's good. That's literally playing the game on easy mode because you can do it on hard mode. You can do it all by yourself, but it's going to be more expensive. It's going to take way longer and it's going to be so frustrating.
And there's codes we've already busted. So get in the room with us and say, who's the first? I don't have any money. Who's the first person I should hire? How do I ever get an assistant? And you go, well, yeah, me and Alli can tell you because we did that too. So the first thing you do is you call a local college and you see if they have a department that has interns that fits with what you're doing. And you get interns and you start with interns and you don't just give them grunt work. You teach them and disciple them and lead them, but they will help. We've already got the cheat codes. So get in a room with us because at the same time, Alli, I am getting in the room right now with people who are doing what I wish I was doing. So I'm doing it right now because there are some places in my job where I am starting at ground zero. And so I'm taking people to lunch that'll take a lunch with me. I am asking for help with people I am trading goods and services on behalf of learning because I'm at ground zero in some areas of my career. But there are people who have got all the cheat codes. And so I'm going like, hey, what happens next? What's my next move? Am I about to bust a relationship I don't need to bust? The real example is like when I'm thinking about writing a script for a movie. I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, I've got friends at 3 different networks. What do I do? Do I send
Mhm.
them to all 3? Is that a bad relational thing to do? I don't know this game.
Yeah,
I
you
have
don't know the
no
game.
idea how this works, and so there may be some big faux pas I'm about to do, and I don't know. And so instead of doing it, I called one of them, and I said, "Will you coach me in what I do here?" I did not say, "Let me pick your brain," because "let
Never.
me pick your brain" is the worst phrase in the whole world, because you are saying, "Can I take from you what you worked 10 years to learn?"
Mhm.
And that is not it. But I say, "Will you coach me on this? And what can I do in return? Can I pay you for your time? Or is there some way I can serve you? But I need about 10 minutes of your time to help me with the question in a field you're in. Let me know when you're available." And 4 out of 5 times that person responds to me and tells me they don't have time or they do have time, and
Mhm.
what it'll cost me in influence or money. And then I ask the question, "Hey, am I about to do something really stupid?" And they go, "Yeah, here's how you do this."
Yes.
And thanks be to God. I mean, and so you can reach out to people you don't know, reach out to people you do know. There are conferences and coaching groups happening all the time in the exact thing you want to build. So get in them.
Amen to that. I remember with my first book, I came about it like a businesswoman. And so my agent would call me and go, "What are you doing? You're offending the publisher. This is not how it's done." Like, I didn't like my first book cover. So I hired someone to create the book cover I wanted. And then I was like, voila, here's a good book cover.
Yes.
And I had to go apologize because I didn't know culturally I had to play the games. So you're so right because
Good on you,
there
though.
are so many weird things inside different cultures that we would never
That's right.
know
That's right.
that we are going to just burn relationships
That's right.
down.
And if you can't travel, if you are homebound because of your health or your life with your children, or you don't like traveling, online. Online, there are tons of groups you can
Yeah.
join and tons of cohorts you can join. So get in the room doesn't mean get on a plane. Get in a room means get in a room either online or in person.
Yeah. Amen to that. What about advice that you see floating around the internet that makes you a little throat punchy?
That usually happens more about dating than it does about business. I mean, there are times where people talk about how much money they've made and they say, "I built a $10 million company, you can too."
I
And
hate
that's a
that
little bit
so
hard for
much.
me. Yeah, because I'm like,
Mhm.
there are a lot of factors to that statement, and there's a lot of squiggly math to that statement.
Well, and it's illegal now. The FTC is
Right.
coming after people. So, for instance, on one of my programs, we had a testimonial from one of my students that said, after I took this program, I got a $40,000 contract, which was great. I put it on the front of the coach school. I was like, we're good to go. But turns out that's illegal now, unless you can literally show every receipt. So, anybody who's
Right.
online going, I made $1 million in a month through manifestation or whatever nonsense that
Yes.
Instagram ads have. All of it's illegal now. Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
that's right. So the problem with someone saying they made $1 million is then you go, well, then if I work hard enough, I will also make $1 million. But what you don't know is how much they paid in Facebook ads, and you don't know how many people helped them, and you don't know the cost, and you don't know whether that $1 million is top line or net or whatever. So
And you don't know if that person's lying because so many clients will go, well, I saw this ad for blah, 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 and all this. And I go, that person is lying. That girl's 24 years old. She did not make $5 million last
right.
year.
That's right. That's
You can go on the internet and lie. I think we forget this.
right. There are other ways to celebrate besides a financial number. That's why
Yeah.
I think it's
Amen.
really important to celebrate. To determine before we launch anything, we determine what success is. Is success financial? Is success how many people participate? Is success responses we get? And so, really, it's really important to determine when I'm building something or making something, money isn't the only determination of a win.
That's
And
good.
so, for someone to say, I made $1 million, you're like, yeah, but did anybody use the product you sold them? Or does it just sit in their computer and they didn't take a single class of the course? Would it have been better if you made $600,000 and everyone actually did the thing and it changed their lives?
Amen to that.
Determine success some other ways.
Okay. Last big thing social media. How are you managing it? How are you feeling about it? Because most people I ask go, I don't know.
I know. I think social media is really challenging right now. The algorithms do not favor content. They favor people who pay for boosting. And
Mhm.
once you pay for boosting, it will not favor you again until you pay again. So it's all just it's hard to know where to be. I do not like TikTok, and I'll tell you why. I do not have self control with TikTok on my phone.
Mm.
And so I can't have it. Now we have a TikTok account. Someone on my team will populate it with things. I am not there. I just couldn't do it. And so even though it would be very good for my company and my brand, I can't do it because I can't be who I want to be on that app. And so I don't use that one. I'm mostly on Instagram. And, all of those places are rented. And you teach this. You taught me this. You teach this a lot. The only place you own is your email list. And
Mm.
so we say a lot. Annie can show up on social media when I have spare time in my workday. The place you can always find me that we give our best energy is to our email list. That gets the best of me. And social media gets the leftovers of me often. All of last week, I had to teach on Saturday out of town, and I had to preach 3 times at Crosspoint on Sunday. I did not do a single Instagram story last week after Monday where I said, I don't have time for this week. Sorry. And I knew I didn't. So I think the first thing you got to think about when you're doing social media, the very top line is, what do you want to do?
Mm.
You have to answer that honestly. Do not do it around your business. Do it around your actual soul. It is built not for the good of your soul. And so you've got to do what's right for your soul. Then the next line is, okay, if I can be on this app, what does it look like to do this well for my business? And so I'm not seeing anything work well. People want us to do reels. Of course they do. People don't want you to post pictures. I like posting pictures. I don't know. Alli, I don't know. I don't know how to win. I'm watching other people. I'm on there less as a person than I used to be because I don't like wasting my time. I didn't read my Bible this morning, but I sat on Instagram for 25 minutes. Like, what? That's not who I want to be. And so if I can't be who I want to be, I can't be on social media. And so I'm on it less. So I'm making things on it less. But you're right. You
That's
said the
so
same thing.
smart.
Your podcast is where they're getting the best of you. My podcast is where they're getting the best of me and our email list. And so I can't give it the amount of energy it requires for the cost that it is to my soul.
I feel the exact same way, especially about TikTok. I have never let the algorithm get honed in because I've heard it's so amazing that I know I don't need that in my life. I already have a pretty good honed in algorithm with Reels. If TikTok knew me that well,
So
I
much
would
worse.
never escape.
That's it.
It
I
would
mean, when
kill
I
my
was because I
productivity.
was doing R&D,
Yeah.
trying to pay attention to TikTok and be like, where's my seat going to be here? And I mean to tell you, I was losing sleep. I was getting messages from TikTok saying, do you think you want to take a break? That's
Wow.
how bad it was getting. I was unable to have self-control because of how good the algorithm is. I was like, if I was 17, I would have no life. I don't know how they're doing. God's made them different that they can manage that. And y'all parenting through that. I don't know how you
But
do it.
a lot of them don't because of it.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
so
we grew up in the best era.
that's exactly right. Where I called my parents when I got to my friend's house. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So I would just tell people, do what you need to do on social media. Do not think that your career depends on your social media. It does not. It just does not. God is not limited by how many times you tweet. So,
That's a good word. Okay, we have time for 2 fun questions.
okay,
Number
good.
1, favorite new skincare or beauty product?
Okay. Have you heard of Cattle and Comb? It's
No.
tallow lotion.
You're on the tallow
I'm on the
train.
tallow train, and Cattle and Comb
Oh.
is so like cattle like a cow, comb like a honeycomb.
Yeah.
It feels so good on my feet, on my face. They have lip stuff. So Cattle and Comb is my current favorite product.
Okay, your skin does look amazing. I mean, as soon
Thank
as you
you.
popped up on screen, I was like, "You look great."
Part of it is that
Great.
I got a spray tan last week, and part of it is I don't have kids, and so I sleep every night. So I have a lot of things working in my favor for my face. One of them is Cattle and Comb.
I love it, I love it. Okay, what about a favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh, what's a favorite guilty pleasure? I almost always have bacon in my fridge. And I don't think food is not good, bad, or either, but it is. But when I grab a piece of bacon on the way to bed, that feels like a guilty pleasure. When I just like I fried it exactly the way I like it. and then I just keep it in the fridge. And so food's great. All food is fine.
Food's great. Yeah.
But a piece of bacon on my way to bed is a guilty pleasure.
I feel like a piece of bacon on my way to bed, I need to put that on my list.
It's
I
so
feel like I've been
great.
missing out.
I have just a long enough hallway that I get it finished before I get to my sink to wash my face.
I love it. Okay, normally I tell someone, hey, say where we can find you. Tell us about your show. We know you. We love you. So give us a charge. Be
Okay.
bossy, Annie. Tell
Okay.
us something to do. What should we do, Annie?
Here's what I will tell all of our friends listening to do. Do the thing. Do the thing. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let anything hold you back. You were made uniquely. There is only one you, and there is a lane and an offering that you bring to the world that literally no one else brings. And so go and do it. If you want to build something, build it. You're not here listening to Alli Worthington because you don't want to build something. So go and build it. Go and build it. The resources are there to help you. The people are there to help you. God will help you. Go and build it. We need it.
Thank you, Annie. You're amazing.
Oh, I love you,
I would
friend.
have you back for every Smart Girl Summer if I could. So thank you
Anytime.
for making time.
Thank you.
How great was she, right? This is a special one. She's always great on Smart Girl Summer. Thank you for being here with Annie and I. I'm so grateful that we get to spend this time together every week. You, of course, are a smart girl because you're here. You are learning something. You're investing in yourself, whether it's your spiritual health, your emotional well being, your personal growth, your business success. It isn't just about you, it benefits your family and your relationships and your whole community. I want you to know that I believe in the gifts that God has placed inside of you. I believe in your dreams, and I know you're making a difference in this world for good. That's why you're here. Week after week, you're learning, you're growing, you're building a healthier, stronger, more joyful life, one step at a time. God has uniquely created you to stand strong and bring something special to this world that only you can bring. So let me remind you, you're stronger than you think, you're smarter than you give yourself credit for, and you're braver than you feel in the hard moments. And I think the best part is you're just getting started. It is my joy to coach you, to cheer you on, and remind you that with God, you have what it takes. So keep stepping up, keep showing up, and loving well, because you know the truth. You can't break a woman who gets her strength from God. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Yay! Okay, we're here. I have rosacea, and sometimes the lights in my office get hot, so I just gotta when I have a minute, I just put a little cold can on my cheek. It's weird. We lost connection, but we're back. Okay. No, who knows? No, but we keep going. Let me think of pickup. Ridiculous. Okay, pretend I just asked the question. What's going on social wait, we're still lost. I have never seen this happen before. It says attempting to reconnect. Let's wait till it's all the way back, and then we'll answer a social media question. What in the world? Playing the game on easy mode without being oh, for Pete's sake. Oh, we're reconnecting.